A trip to Japan takes a lot more planning than you would expect, and that long-haul flight can really take a toll on you. So if you're looking for real pro tips, other than to wear something comfortable and to use packing cubes, then you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Now, the first thing that probably comes to mind that everyone talks about when flying to Japan is the crippling jet lag. And trust me, it is no joke. But on my last trip to Japan, I had a chance to spark up a conversation with a flight attendant, and she gave me one of the best tips I've ever heard about getting over jet lag when flying to Japan. And this applies no matter the distance. So let's say you're traveling from New York to Japan. Given the significant time difference, because Japan is generally 13 hours ahead of New York, here's how you can prepare and adapt to make your transition smoother. So if Tokyo is 13 hours ahead of New York, this means that if it's 11 p.m. in New York, it's already 12 p.m. noon the following day in Tokyo. The day before your flight, begin to adjust to Tokyo time. So if your flight is in the evening from New York, try to stay awake and as active as you can as if it's the middle of the day in Tokyo. It also helps to set your phone to Tokyo time as soon as the flight starts, so that you have a guide for what activities you would normally be doing at that time. So for example, instead of winding down for bed as you might at 11 p.m. in New York, keep yourself awake by engaging in activities you normally do around noon to simulate a day in Tokyo. And that can include reading on the plane, taking walks in the aisle, watching movies, etc. And then sleep on the plane when it's nighttime in Tokyo to sync your sleep cycle with your destination. For instance, if it's 10 p.m. Tokyo time shortly after your flight departs, try to get some rest. Now, I didn't say this is going to be easy. It can be really tempting to watch movies or enjoy the in-flight entertainment at the time that you normally would in your home country, but staying disciplined about your sleep schedule is crucial to make this tip work. Now, ideally you'd wake up when it's morning in Tokyo. So if your flight lands in the morning, you've aligned your sleep to wake up ready for a full day in Japan. And then you'll be able to start your activities in Japan with less jet lag, making the most of your trip from day one. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Remember, traveling to Japan is not like anywhere else in the world. And near the end of this video, I'll share a little known trick for making sure your luggage arrives safely in Japan. And it's the first out of the carousel. It's so genius, it'll make you feel like you've become a pro traveler overnight. So go ahead and take out your note-taking app or paper and keep track of all of these tips. You don't want to miss any of it. So now that you have your sleep cycle down, which is arguably one of the most important adjustments you'll have to make on your trip, are you sure that you got the best bang for your buck and that you chose the best seats when you were booking your flight to Japan? If you've already booked your flight and you're sure you got the best deal possible, feel free to skip ahead to the next section where we'll start getting packed for the trip. But if you haven't booked yet, you're in luck. I guarantee at least one of these tips will save you at least a couple $100s on your flight. Now, you've probably heard some common booking myths like browsing in an incognito window will get you better prices on flights, or booking on a certain day will get you a better price. But let's skip the urban legends and get to some tried and true hacks that can get you a cheaper flight prices. This first tip is one that I've shared before in my Japan travel guide, but it's worth sharing again because it's always worked for me without fail. One of the best ways to score a cheaper ticket when flying to Japan is to use a VPN to mask your location when you're searching and booking for flights. Let me show you how airlines and flight booking services show different search results depending on who you are and where you're from. We're going to do a test where we book a flight from London to New York to see if we get different prices. Now, I haven't done this test ahead of time, so the numbers that we're going to see on screen are exactly what they are. I haven't set any of this up, and I haven't done any research ahead of time. So the first thing we're going to do is a regular old search as if we live in London. Now, I've already switched my actual location to London using a VPN, and I'll explain that shortly. So for this test, we're assuming that I'm actually in London, and if I type in show my location in Google, it's going to tell me that I'm in London. Now I'm going to go to the Expedia UK site and book a flight from LHR or London Heathrow to NYC or New York City for May 11th to May 15th. And I'll choose business class. So the cheapest result they're showing me is a one-stop flight on Iceland Air for £2,029 or about $2,541.40. And of course, we can take a look at the prices for direct flights as well, just for kicks. Okay, so now let's see if we clear out our cookies if we can get a better price. This is an important step to remember. Before moving on, first you need to clear the cookies from your browser. Cookies are messages that web servers pass to your browser as you surf the internet, and it creates a record of your online activity. Travel sites use these cookies to help them drive ticket sales. So if you search for a flight, but then you leave the website without buying the flight, the cookies are going to take a record of your activity and then report it back to the travel site, or Expedia in our case. And then the next time you search for that flight, they might increase the price that you see by maybe a small amount, like maybe $10 or $20. And then at that point, human psychology kicks in and you decide that you need to buy that ticket right now out of fear that the price will continue to go up. And that's how it works. But fortunately, you can get a browser extension that helps you to delete the cookies as you go. Or you can just dump them each time like we just did as you continue searching for your flight. So next we're going to use our VPN to make it look like we're browsing from somewhere else. Now, there are different theories as to what the best location to book flights from is. I've heard that booking from the US always gets the best deal. I've heard that booking from a less affluent place like the Midwest instead of the coast of the United States, or a less affluent country like India instead of Germany, is the way to go. And then there are those who swear that booking from the destination country where you're flying to is the best way to go. Today, I'm going to try booking from the destination country. But naturally, the only way to test these theories is to run your own experiments. And this is where your choice of VPN makes a big difference. Because you want to choose a VPN that has servers in lots of different locations all around the world to choose from. So as you can see, NordVPN, which is the platform that I have loaded on the screen, has a decently long list of servers here, including some countries with multiple servers within them. So since we're flying from London to New York, I'm going to choose the New York server. And now I'm going to go back to my browser, make sure my cookies are cleared, and now when I tell Google to show my location, you can see that it thinks I'm in New York. So that's how the VPN works. Let's go back to Expedia and search for the same flight again. And let's sort our results by price from lowest to highest. And now as you can see, the lowest price that's showing is for $2,761. And that's about $219.60 more than when we search for a flight with our location set to London. And there we go. That's all there is to it. And this is fully legal. If you travel a lot, obviously the savings can end up adding up pretty quickly. Booking from the departure city definitely looks like it's a winning strategy. But let me know in the comments below what kinds of results you get when you start searching for your Japan flights, or if you've had success searching for cheaper flights in another way. I'll leave the link to NordVPN in the description so you can check it out. And here's another money-saving transportation tip. While a lot of people consider taking the Shinkansen from city to city in Japan, there's some great quality budget airlines in Japan, and even full-price airlines that offer ticket prices that are cheaper than the Shinkansen. And with a VPN, you may get an even better price on a flight if you search for the flight with your location set to somewhere in Japan than if you search for that same flight with your location set to somewhere outside of Japan. This VPN trick can save you hundreds of dollars, and it's an absolutely valid tip that I've used before that works. If you don't already use a VPN, it's a great and inexpensive option to have extra security for any of the browsing that you're going to do online in Japan, especially if you're planning on using public Wi-Fi or a portable Wi-Fi router while you're there. But I can't say this enough. Be very, very cautious about using free VPN services. Many free VPNs have been caught logging user data, displaying intrusive ads, or even disturbing malware. If privacy and security are priorities, which they should be, I recommend investing in a reputable paid VPN service. I'll leave a link down in the description to NordVPN, which is the VPN service that I've always used and I've always trusted. And by the way, if you're traveling with other people, one bonus tip is to search for flights one person at a time. If you search for multiple people, airlines like to bunch everyone into the same price bucket. So if there aren't enough seats in the cheapest price bucket for everyone in your group, then everyone in your group automatically gets bumped up to the next price bucket. By booking tickets one by one, you're more likely to score at least some of your tickets in the lower price tiers, rather than being charged the higher price for all of your tickets in your group. Just make sure you book your flight purchase directly with the airline and not through a third-party booking site, because if the tickets run out, or if they don't happen to have all the ones that you need, you'll at least be able to cancel easily through the airline. Now, what's your usual way of booking your flights? Do you usually go straight for searching for round-trip tickets? Believe it or not, combining two separate one-way tickets can often be cheaper than buying a round-trip ticket. And there are also two other benefits. You have the flexibility of deciding on your departure and return times separately without being bound to a package deal. And by booking on a different return airline than your departure airline, It might allow you to take advantage of some excellent fare deals that you probably wouldn't have if you travel with one single airline that hadn't included a discount deal for the round-trip flight. Another way to save hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on flights for you and your travel group is by setting cheap fare alerts with FareDrop. Now, this is an app that you have to sign up for. There's a free version and it sends notifications when flights drop in price from your home airport instead of having to search and scour the internet for flight deals. And to be honest, my favorite part of FareDrop is the flight deals on business class flights. When you're traveling that far to Japan, wouldn't it be nice to have a reclining seat with plenty of personal space, delicious meals, and personalized service? Well, there are plenty of deals on FareDrop that can make it much more of a reality. If you're interested in checking out FareDrop and how it works, I have a link in the description of the video. And no matter what fare alert app or website you might be using, when you get alerted, first try booking directly with the airline. If there's a problem on your trip, the airline can often take care of you much better than a third-party booking site can, especially when it comes to flight delays and cancellations. And weather cancellations can be common in Japan during the rainier seasons of the year, especially during typhoon season. The typhoon season in Japan runs from May through October, with most of the activity from July to September. If you're stranded after a canceled flight, airlines usually have hotels around the airport that are contracted to provide them with special rates if they have to put up passengers due to delays, cancellations, or misconnections. Go to the airline counter and ask for a distressed passenger voucher for a hotel if you're stuck at the airport and the airline's not responsible, like in the situation of inclement weather cancellation. If that doesn't work, and you happen to be spending the night in an airport because of a long delay or maybe you have a layover, be sure to check out the website sleepinginairports.net. This is a wonderful website that lists all the best places to sleep. There are details on which terminal you should go to, where you can find charging ports, showers, and all sorts of information. And if you're really concerned about being stranded in an airport without access to any of these amenities, a more trusted way to avoid cancellation surprises and make sure you have alternatives in case of an emergency is travel insurance. One of the most popular travel insurances that lots of travel creators use is Safety Wing, and I'll leave the link below so that you can check it out and see if it's right for you. And just remember that many travel-specific credit cards also include travel insurance such as medical, cancellation, and interruption insurance. So this could save you a lot of money by not having to purchase those separately. Be sure to check with your credit card company about whether it's included in your perks. And finally, before you leave for your flight, always become familiar with your airline's regulations and policies for cancellations, delays, and damaged luggage. If you see here on Japan Airlines website, this is basically saying that if you have a flight from Japan to New York that's intended to get there on Wednesday at a certain time, and it doesn't get there on Wednesday, and it's not caused by weather but by a cancellation or delay by the airline, then Japan Airlines will cover the cost of your accommodation and transportation expenses. And that's of course up to their limits, but still, it's something. So be sure to check out your airline's regulations for your departing and your returning flight. There's lots more that you're probably eligible to be compensated for. So let's recap. When booking your flight to Japan, try using a VPN to find cheaper fares, consider combining one-way tickets, and search for flights one person at a time. And don't forget to set up fare alerts and check if your credit card offers travel insurance. Now, if you're surprised or even excited about trying out some of these money-saving tips for your flight, let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And of course, on your way down there, don't forget to hit that like button if these tips have been helpful so far. So now that you know which airline you're going to fly, the next important task is to figure out where you're going to sit for the next 8 to 13 plus hours on the plane. You might not think it's a big deal, but boy, is it ever. Let's find the perfect seat for you. If you're a bit afraid of flying and you really don't like turbulence, then I recommend you sit in the middle of the plane. These seats tend to be a bit more stable, so you really don't have to feel those bumps and shakes as much. And one more tip is to fly either in the morning or late in the evening, because that's when storm winds tend to be a little bit more calm. And that allows for a much smoother flight and takeoff. If I'm flying economy, my favorite seat in the entire plane for international long-haul flights is the middle section aisle seat. You might just find that you end up getting a little bit more space to yourself. Also, if you have one of these seats and you're on a plane that only has 3 seats in the middle, you have a 50% less chance of being disturbed by the person who's sitting in the middle seat. Because if they end up having to get up during the flight, they could go either way, which means if you're sleeping, there's a greater chance that your sleep might actually go uninterrupted. If you love nice views and you want to get some really good rest, then of course the window seat might be a good option. But there are 2 downsides to this seat. Number 1 is it tends to be colder than all the other seats. And then, of course, number 2 is that you'll need to sneak past your fellow passengers if you need to get up or stretch or use the restroom. But one little known fact is that the space under the seat in the window seat is larger than the other 2 seats, giving you more room for storing your extra items or just having a little bit more leg space. And by the way, before you book your flight, check the leg room on the airline. If you're a large or tall person, pay extra for more room. Economy is not saving you much if you're going to be in pain for hours. And I do have a fun little tip that's gotten me some extra space on an airline before. If you're traveling with someone else, try booking the window seat and the aisle seat. If somebody sees that those 2 are taken while they're booking their own seat, it's very unlikely that they're going to put themselves in the middle. And that might make for a perfect row with you and your partner and an empty seat in the middle for an entire flight. And in the case that someone does end up booking the middle seat, it should be very easy to switch with them because you can offer them a better seat. Now, this tip is not guaranteed to work on flights that are on major routes, but if you're traveling during the week or on a super early or super late flight, there's always a chance to give it a shot. And if you happen to be checking in a bit late and your preferred seat is taken, or if you need to get out of the middle seat yourself, expertflyer.com allows you to set up alerts so that when somebody changes their seat on your flight, you get a notification and you can immediately swoop in and snap that up. It's such a cool service, and there's a free version that I'll link to below. Another pro tip is that I use SeatMaestro and SeatMaps.com when I'm selecting my seats, so I can see a layout of the exact plane that I'm going to be on and select the best seat for my needs. These websites will tell you where the best places to sit are based on a number of different criteria, like the amount of legroom, the availability of USB plugs, as well as seats with slight obstructions or challenges, or seats that you should just avoid at all costs. And SeatMaestro even has reviews from passengers who've sat in the seats before, which is awesome. I'll link to both of these below. Oh, and here's my favorite tip of all the travel tips I have to offer. If you're comfortable with it, give your flight attendants either Starbucks cards or something else really thoughtful, and let them know that you appreciate all they do, especially keeping everyone safe. The smiles you get back over and over are so worth it. And sometimes they'll even go out of their way to bring you extra things like a blanket from first class or champagne. But most of all, do it because they're human beings whose sole responsibility is ensuring the safety, security, and then the comfort of the passengers on board your airline. If they're doing a great job at that, let them know that you appreciate it. So we've got our seats selected, our flight was pretty much a steal at the price we paid, and now it's time to get ready for the big travel day. When you're preparing to travel to Japan, having the right travel documents and abiding by the various strict rules that Japan has for international travelers is critical. This is not like traveling anywhere else in the world, and there are especially heavy restrictions on bringing personal medications into Japan. I can't stress enough how important it is to watch my Japan travel guide video that goes step by step through the different paperwork that you'll need to submit if you're bringing any type of medication into the country. And there are also important tips about customs declarations, tax-free shopping regulations, and other tips that you probably just weren't aware of for travel to Japan. For example, did you know that carrying your passport with you in Japan is mandatory? And failure to carry your passport or permit is punishable with a fine up to 100,000 yen, or around $700 US. Once you have all your documents sorted out, let's start with how much to take on your trip. Very little. I usually travel with a carry-on and one piece of checked luggage max if I'm staying in Japan for 2 weeks. And Japan Airlines is on the packing light game too. Did you know that they have a clothing booking service called Anywhere Anywhere? Travelers can book a set of clothes and receive it at their hotel upon arrival. And at the end of the stay, the clothes are to be returned and they're washed and cycled back into the system. Users of the service can log onto the website and choose from a few options: women or men's clothing, which seasons they're for, smart or casual styling, the number of tops and bottoms, and dates for pickup and return. and then the selections will be waiting for them at the hotel for prices that range between $34 and $48 for the whole rental period. It's Japan Airlines' effort to help curb emission expenditures through reducing the luggage weights on their planes. They've actually had a great response to the program, and United States and Australia are the countries with the largest number of users. I'll leave the link below. It's a really cool program and it could save you a lot of packing trouble. The other reason to limit your packing is because most trains in Japan only have a small amount of space for luggage. And even on the Shinkansen, there's no guarantee that you'll find a place for massive suitcases. Besides, train stations are often crowded, making it awkward and quite frustrating to navigate with large bags. You might even find yourself dragging bags up and down stairs if you can't find an elevator or an escalator. For shorter trips of up to a week, it's absolutely possible to travel to Japan with just a carry-on. But I'll stop beating that drum because I know that packing super light isn't feasible for all travelers, especially when traveling with a family. So let's go over some of the essentials for a trip to Japan, starting with what you'll need on the flight. I never ever fly on long-haul flights anymore without wearing compression socks. Dehydration and not moving around are classic long-haul flight activities. Compression socks can help with increasing blood circulation, which reduces the chances of getting blood clots. And if you don't want to wear compression socks, but you know that you'll probably want to elevate your feet for more comfort, consider a portable foot hammock. It simply attaches to the seat in front of you for an instant footrest. For travelers with longer legs, the hammock might not be as helpful of a tip, but it's also perfect for kids who tend to have restless legs on long-haul flights. A tip to save some space and weight in your checked baggage is to wear your heaviest shoes on the plane and put a pair of slippers in your carry-on. Bring a spare pair of dry socks to wear under your slippers once you're settled in on the flight. This will make a world of difference for feeling fresh after running through the city and jetting it through the airport.
Whew. Oh.
But whatever you do not choose shoes with a tight fit, since your feet will likely swell during a flight. A pair of Crocs clogs can be a great choice for you or for the kids, since the rear strap allows you to wear the shoes as a slip-on with more support in the back of the shoe. Plus, look at all these cute little Japan gibbets that you can buy to decorate your shoes for your trip. Predicting the temperature on the plane is almost impossible to do, especially during the long boarding process of an international flight. There always tends to be an uncomfortable 20-minute period before flight takeoff where the cabin is uncomfortably hot, so I recommend this portable fan. It's perfect to use for those moments, and it comes with a built-in stand that you can use to prop it up on the tray table, as well as a flashlight, and it even doubles as a portable power bank. And speaking of unbearable temperatures, if you're traveling to Japan in one of the more temperate seasons, one of the best items that you can bring with you is these cooling towels. Summers are hot and humid in Japan, with temperatures ranging from approximately 70 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit or 21 to 32 degrees Celsius. July and August are typically the hottest and the most humid times of the year, and it can be uncomfortable for sightseeing if you don't do well with humidity. Bringing along these cooling towels that are quick drying and sweat absorbent will do wonders for your comfort, and they're an absolute must if you have kids along with you. And if you're traveling to Japan during the rainy season, here's a travel item that you never knew you needed. A suitcase protector. I love this plastic casing that goes around my suitcase because it's especially helpful when I'm checking it in, and it prevents my suitcase from getting scratched. It's not the prettiest thing, but if it's raining outside, it also prevents my suitcase from getting wet on the tarmac. These are perfect for travelers with soft shell suitcases as well. And I know that you might think if it's raining in Japan that a cute little totes umbrella will suffice, but you've never experienced winds like Japanese winds during a major weather season. Consider a windproof travel umbrella like this one that can resist more force and protect more area on your body. And it never hurts to pack a heavy-duty rain poncho during the rainy season either. Rain boots are recommended as well, but you'll be able to find some in Japan if you don't feel like taking up space in your luggage. Now, I know this is a lot to remember, and the screens might be flying faster than you can write, so I've created a travel checklist that includes all the items I've recommended in this video, along with a list of the tips and tricks that you'll need to remember for your trip to Japan. I'll link to it below. And again, when you're on your way to downloading that checklist, please take the time to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Making these videos is a labor of love to the members of the community, and the smallest things keep me able to make them. A like and subscribe is the most simple and super appreciated. Thank you. And while we're on the subject of suitcases, in Japan you're going to want to bring home a lot of souvenirs, trust me. So bring a foldable, sturdy duffel to pack all the dirty laundry, leaving your luggage open for purchased goods. Bring some compact disposable hand towels and some hand sanitizer for your time in Japan. Some public bathrooms in Japan don't have soap, hand towels, or dryers, and these will come in handy. You'll also be hard-pressed to find trash cans on the streets in Japan, so you might end up carrying your own garbage around until you find a receptacle. There's a charge for plastic bags in Japan, so consider taking a reusable one or getting one there. It also makes for a nice little souvenir. And as strange as it may seem, these little disposable diaper bag dispensers or doggy poop bag dispensers can actually come in handy for having somewhere to place your trash. Let's make a quick shift to tech. Although most seatbacks on international planes have charging outlets, it's always good to have a power bank charger with you. That way, if all the plugs are occupied, or if you have more than one or two items to charge at once, you'll be all covered. And speaking of, one of the best purchases I made this year was for a portable laptop charger. So whether you work remote or if you just want to be able to use your computer on the long flight, this is an essential item that you don't want to leave off. It's also worth pointing out that public USB ports should not be trusted, especially in the airport. You could inadvertently be giving access to the data on your device. There are devices called USB data blockers that go between your cable and the port to only allow power to pass through. Better yet, just bring your own charger. I swear by Anker, and they're a great brand. If you're traveling with someone else, or if your kids might want to keep themselves entertained by watching a movie together, I recommend purchasing an airline headphone adapter and an earphone splitter so that you can listen to stuff together. And you can also purchase a clamp for your phone so that you can stand it up on the tray table and make watching it much easier. And if you have Bluetooth headphones, but you still want to use the in-flight entertainment, you can buy one of these awesome little adapters to go into the headphone jack in the in-flight screen and then connect it to your Bluetooth seamlessly. It's also a good idea to download the Airlines app, as some airplanes don't have entertainment systems built into the seats, but instead you interact with their entertainment system through their app, and you just watch it on your own device. Just make sure that you downloaded the app before you take off. You'll also want to download all of your media before your flight, just in case the Wi-Fi is spotty, or worst case scenario, the in-flight entertainment just isn't working. And my real pro tip, as the movie buff that I am, is to check the airline app ahead of time and get the IMDb ratings from in-flight movies before your takeoff. That way you don't spend your precious hours on the flight watching bad movies that you should have never gotten yourself into. Speaking of entertainment, it's a good idea to start making an itinerary guide in Apple Maps or Google Maps before you leave of the places that you want to visit in Japan while you're there. That way, when you're in a new neighborhood, you can look at your map and say, oh, I pinned something cool in this area, let's check that out. It also helps in deciding where you want to book your hotel so that you can cut back on travel costs and time. And let me know in the comments if it would be helpful for me to put together a tutorial on how to create your own itinerary in Google My Maps. I'm happy to do it if we get enough votes from the community. And don't worry about trying to make the perfect itinerary. You'll have fun no matter what you end up doing in Japan. Also, remember that you'll likely need an outlet converter for Japan. If you need to use an outlet converter, buy one of Apple's World Traveler adapter kits and a power strip. This is a quick fix if you have a lot of items that need to be plugged in. Plug your adapter into the wall, and then plug your power strip into the adapter. And then that way, you'll be able to plug in more than one item without having to purchase multiple adapters. Also, when it comes to packing, my favorite tip for flights that I want to carry on only is to skip liquids as much as possible and take solid alternatives. I travel a lot, so I actually have an entire go bag that's basically my in-flight set of things that make my flight easier. But this is the bag that stays in my carry-on and not in the seat with me. So right now it includes melatonin, Dramamine for in case I get motion sickness, a pack of wet wipes, face wipes, serum or moisturizer for my face, a pin for immigration and customs forms, Advil, a pair of extra travel socks to keep my feet warm, compression socks, floss picks, and a tiny toothbrush and toothpaste tabs. Oh, and remember that tip about jet lag that I gave earlier? Well, if you're not really one for changing your sleep schedule and trying to stay up while everyone else on the plane is knocked out, there are a few other things you can do to minimize the effects of jet lag. First up is to take melatonin or another over-the-counter sleep supplement. It can help you to sleep even if your body is in a different circadian rhythm. And if you want to get a jump start on getting onto the time zone that you're flying to, then you can even take melatonin on the plane at your destination's bedtime. Another tip for battling jet lag is to get some daylight as soon as you arrive at your destination. Even better, watch the sun rise and set on your first day in Japan. It makes a huge difference for me, even when I'm traveling 12 time zones away from my home. And if you're fortunate enough to travel via business class, you can eat on your own schedule, and it's easier to eat and sleep according to the time zone that you're headed to. This really does help with jet lag. Even eating dinner selectively and thinking of it as breakfast helps. And speaking of melatonin, if you have other personal medications that need cooling throughout the duration of your flight, the responsibility ultimately lies on you. Don't count on airplanes to have a refrigerator like at home. If there is a cooling system on board, it's meant for food items, which shouldn't be mixed with the passenger's personal goods. But fortunately, there are TSA-approved medicine coolers like this one that you can purchase to make sure your items will be safe throughout the trip. So when packing for your trip to Japan, remember to bring compression socks, a portable charger, solid toiletries, and a medicine cooler if necessary. Download important apps and media before your flight, and consider creating an itinerary guide in advance. And this is a great time to take a break and remind you to watch the full Japan travel guide with details on transporting medications to Japan. I know I keep talking about it, but I just don't want you to be caught off guard in dealing with Japan's strict medication regulations. The link is below. Now you finally made it to the airport and it's time to get the show on the road. But before we check in, let me know in the comments below which of these tips that I've shared so far are new to you. Which ones might you use on your next trip? Let me know in the comments below. Now let's talk checking in. These next two tips are pretty basic, but it's worth repeating. As soon as you check in, go to the Airlines app and download all the documents like your boarding pass onto your phone. If you have an iPhone, download them to your Apple Wallet because when you lock your screen, they'll show up there and it's super easy to access them really quickly when you're going through security screening. The other benefit is that the airline apps offer the best up-to-date information on your flight. Keep a digital copy of important documents like your passport and your driver's license and your bank phone number somewhere as well. Whether you email it to yourself or you have it saved on your phone, or if you send it to a friend. You just never know what's going to happen, and if your phone or wallet or passport gets stolen, it does help to prove that you are who you say you are, especially if you're in a different country. And set your phone's lock screen wallpaper to your email or a trusted emergency contact. That way, if you lose your phone and someone's trying to find the owner, they won't have to try to figure out the passcode for the phone. The second pretty well-known tip is when checking in your luggage, make it easy to identify. You can add stickers, a ribbon, or tags to the top and the sides, because there might come a time when you're trying to find your bag very quickly in a sea of hundreds of other bags due to delays or understaffing. And here's a simple tip that will make you so happy you did it. Bring a pen. Yeah, that's it. There's so many times that I've awkwardly had to ask people to borrow their pen when I'm filling out my luggage tags or custom cards. But don't put your address on your bag tag for safety reasons. All you need is your cell number and an email where you can be reached. If you're worried about lost luggage, add an email slip inside of your bag so that if the luggage tag is broken off, they can still contact you. And take a photo of your suitcase in case it gets lost, because airlines will typically ask you to describe it and its contents. If you have a photo of it, that's even better. Also, take photos of your luggage against something that shows the size of it, such as a ruler or a tape measure. Then, if you're unfortunate enough to lose your luggage, you have a photo to show rather than trying to describe it. And take a timestamp picture of your suitcase at the airport just before you check in, because one thing that's not well known is that airlines will reimburse you for your damaged luggage. If you lose a wheel or it gets all scratched up and it's brand new luggage, let them know. And be sure to keep a picture so they know exactly what it looked like before they checked it in. And be sure to keep the receipt for your actual purchase of the suitcase too. They'll likely require that for proof. But for tracking luggage, Apple AirTags are my ultimate go-to. Just tuck the tiny trackers inside of your bags and luggage and relax, knowing that you can locate your luggage if it goes missing. And the great news is that the Federal Aviation Administration has ruled that having an AirTag in your luggage is permitted, and it's not a safety hazard because the amount of lithium falls below the FAA's limit. So you're good to go, even in Japan. When it comes to delays in luggage, be sure to know your rights as a passenger. You could be entitled to get money or other forms of compensation depending on the airline or the destinations that you're flying to. For insurance claims, having photos of the packed items inside your bag can help provide a breakdown for the value of everything in the event of lost luggage. I've also learned that sometimes luggage can get a questionable reading from airport x-ray scanners, and it may need to be opened by TSA personnel. Once you have your TSA approved locks, be double careful and lock your suitcase zips with cable ties or zap straps. And then you'll know if someone has accessed your bags. You can always find a knife or scissors to cut them off when you arrive at your destination. And remember that pro tip I told you about in the beginning for getting your luggage first when collecting it at your destination? Well, when you're checking your bags at the counter, ask for a fragile sticker. If you do genuinely have items in your luggage that you're worried about, then a fragile sticker will give them more protection. The sticker means that your luggage will be placed on top of all the other luggage, and it also tends to mean that you'll get it early when you go to the carousel after your flight. On that note, one thing that you should never do is throw away your luggage receipt. At least take a picture of it, because if your bags get lost, some airlines do ask for these, especially in Japan. If you're checking a bag, and especially especially if you're switching from one airline to another or crossing borders. Once you check your bag, check the baggage tag. And even ask the person you're checking in with and make sure it's checked through to your final destination airport. If it's not, make sure you place an alarm in your phone to remind yourself to collect it at the stopover. Be extra aware of your airline's baggage rules, since this varies between carriers. Airlines in Japan are super strict about their luggage regulations, and it'll be hard to communicate with desk agents to give you a little bit of leeway. So be sure your baggage is prepared and within the correct size and weight dimensions. And you can also weigh your carry-on bags before you fly with a portable scale like this. Or you can use an empty check-in counter at the airport to weigh your luggage before getting to your actual check-in counter. Generally, the cheaper the airline, the smaller the limit. If your check bag is overweight and you don't want to pay a fee, put your heavier things in your personal bag like your backpack or your purse. I know it sounds obvious, but most airlines won't weigh these personal bags. But beware if you're flying in one of the budget airlines in Japan, because sometimes they will include both bags as your total carry-on weight, but they won't weigh you. So in those cases, wear more items on the plane and layer up with your heavier items. But when it comes to carry-on luggage, which bag should you choose? You'll have to check out my Voyages video where I've given a review of the top carry-on suitcases on the market today and tips for which of them are best suited for travel in Japan. I'll link to it in the description and send out notifications when the video has been posted. When gliding through the airport and making your way through security, there are a few organization tips that can make things a lot faster and smoother. Before security, put your belt, watch, jewelry, etc. in your jacket pockets and then place the jacket in a tray. That way you can simply pick up your jacket after security and walk to your gate while you put all your other items back on. It's way easier than trying to put all of your items in one of your bags. At the security scanners, put your possessions through the scanner in the order that you need them to come out so that they can easily be repacked. For example, send your backpack through first, and then when your other items come out, you can just place them right into your bag. If you have a laptop or a valuable electronic, place it in the middle or the second bin. This just keeps your valuable stuff safe from getting mixed up with all the other items, and it also makes it much more efficient when you need to pack everything up. And once you're through security, you'll probably want to grab a cup of coffee or at least free your hands up a little bit. Luggage cup holders like this one are an absolute lifesaver. You just slip it over the handle of your suitcase, and then you can travel through the airport with ease. You got your coffee cup, your phone, your passport, your headphones, and anything else you need right at your fingertips for quick access. If you're traveling with a lot of luggage, but you don't have a way of consolidating everything, you might want to consider investing in a J-hook. It's a very simple device that just clips onto your big bag, and then you can add the small bag on top of it. That just makes wheeling it around the airport so much easier, and they're not as expensive as having to buy a matching set of luggage that has built-in slits for the handle to slide in. And here's a little tip I found through a famous travel YouTuber. When you have to use the restrooms in the airport, use the toilet outside of security. It tends to be a little bit less busy because people use the restrooms closer to their gate. And a bonus tip is to use the first bathroom stall in the restroom. There have been studies done, and it tends to be the cleanest, least used bathroom stall in the entire restroom. If you do have a long wait at the airport, like 3 or more hours, then do consider visiting an airport lounge. I know they seem wildly luxurious and like they're for the top 1%ers only, but it's the one prized possession that I absolutely love about traveling. Certain credit cards like American Express include access to the lounges as one of their perks, but you can actually get really cheap passes on Craigslist where a lot of people sell them at huge discounts. And if you're tired of buying Wi-Fi in every airport that you touch down in, or if the free Wi-Fi in the airport is spotty and slow, the website Fox Nomad is an incredible resource. Outside of some really useful tech travel tips, there's a blog post where the creator has gathered passwords for lounges and other sorts of networks in airports all over the world. And when it's time to board the plane, there's one tip that I've seen in literally every single video about airline and airport tips. But it's a good one, and that is to go in the left line when you're going through security. Most people are right-handed, and that means that they'll tend to go to the right when they're going through security or any other line. So to sum it up, when you're at the airport, download your boarding pass and any other documents to your phone. Make your luggage easily identifiable and consider Apple AirTags for tracking. Remember to ask for a fragile sticker and keep your luggage receipt for added protection. When you get on the plane, here's a pro tip that might seem obvious, but very few people actually do it. Take whatever you need for your flight from out of your carry-on luggage that will go in the overhead bin before you board the plane. and that way you don't need to access your luggage while you're in the air. As a matter of fact, packing your carry-on luggage so that your flight pack is easily accessible makes the boarding process a lot easier. It saves the awkwardness of trying to do it in the middle of the aisle, especially if it's hard-sided luggage and you have to open it up to get whatever you need. Also, having what you need in your personal item bag helps if you don't manage to get your luggage in the bin directly above your seat. Keep your most valuable possessions with you at all times, whether it's on a vest with pockets, or a hip bag, or a fanny pack. Anti-RFID neck pouches and fanny packs are unobtrusive enough that you can wear them through the airport and keep it on you for the entire time that you're on the flight. It doesn't need to be large, but basically just large enough to keep your passport, phone, and wallet at arm's length. And maybe some essential items like a snack and chapstick. When deciding items to pack in your pouch, think to yourself, if I lost everything else, this is all I would need to arrive in Japan and get started with sorting things out. The great thing about having either of these travel pouches is that you can wear them on your actual trip throughout Japan as well, where you'll have to keep your passport and valuables on you at all times anyway. When you're on the plane and ready to get settled in, I have recommendations for the essential sleep kit. First is the Turtle Sleeping Pillow. Now, don't knock this one until you tried it, and it's especially helpful for aisle and middle seaters who don't have the window to lean up against. Next for your kit is the Manta eye covers. These eye covers provide total blackout light protection, and they have eye cups that are contorted for zero eye and lash pressure. The company also offers cooling masks, waiting masks, and masks with Bluetooth headphones sewn into the headband to choose from. You're going to want a pair of earplugs to block out the noise of the plane and the surrounding ambiance. I have two recommendations to choose from. If you tend to have issues with air pressure and pain in your ears while flying, the AirFit or Airplanes earplugs filter and regulate air pressure. And noise-canceling headphones are a game changer if your trip involves a lot of flight time, or if you actually just enjoy being able to hear what they're saying in the movies that you're watching. So do not forget these. And rounding out your kit, it's time for a little bit of a throwback. I always fly with a blanket that has sleeves and pockets. The sleeves make these the best flight blankets since you can easily eat, adjust your tablet or phone, or fasten your seatbelt over the blanket. And trust me, you're going to want to bring your own blanket on the flight. Now, it's a bit of an urban myth that airlines give out used blankets without washing them, but just to be sure, bring your own. And airline pillows are no exception. Oftentimes, airlines will wash the pillowcases, but they don't always wash the pillows that are underneath after each use. And that can have some personal body fluids that you don't want to put your head on. And if you're sleeping with the blanket on, fasten the seatbelt over the top of it. Then if the seatbelt light goes on while you're sleeping, the flight attendants won't have to disturb you to check whether your seatbelt's fastened. It also helps to keep the blanket in place. Now that you've been in the air for a while and you've made your seating area your own little private tent, it's time to get ready for the highlight of the flight. It's feeding time. Now, here's a travel tip that few passengers take advantage of. On most airlines, your ticket includes a meal and you're often given the option to select a custom meal instead. That could range from gluten-free to vegan to vegetarian or even halal. You usually have to select a special meal while you're going through the booking process, and the offerings are usually featured on the airline's website. If you've already booked your flight without choosing a special meal, you can usually call the airline to make a request as long as it's 48 hours before the flight's departure. And one of the biggest advantages is that on most airlines, any custom ordered meals are served first, which might ensure that you'll get your meal hot and fresh and before everyone else. That also means that you're likely to finish eating before other passengers, and that will allow you to beat the post-meal bathroom rush. And this timing can be a game changer, offering you a cleaner restroom experience without having to wait in line. Okay, but wait. Before you start chomping away, there's something you should know, and it ain't pretty. I bet you can't guess one of the dirtiest places on the airplane, can you? See if you can guess and place your thoughts below. Well, if you guess that one of the dirtiest places on the airplane is on the back of the seat right in front of you, you're a winner. The tray table is where people do all sorts of really unsanitary things. Some people will change dirty diapers on there. Some people will put their feet on there. It's just not the cleanest place that you want to be eating your food. So always wipe down the tray table as soon as you sit down in your seat. But even better are these airline tray covers. They keep you from even having to worry about what's on the tray. And also, if you're accustomed to putting your personal items in the little pouch behind your seat, consider another option. I hate to be blunt, but think about it. That's the place where people place barf bags, dirty food wrappers, and even dirty diapers. If you know you're going to need to store some of your items for easy access, consider a seat pouch organizer. It keeps you from ever having to dig down in that seat pocket in front of you. Or if you just need a quick fix, bring an old plastic bag to line the pocket with, and then put your stuff in it. Be sure to take disinfecting wipes and wipe down all the surfaces around you. That's armrests and seat backs and all the areas in front of you. If you're traveling with kids, I would also take seat covers for the toilets on the plane. On long international flights, they're likely to run out, and you can buy a travel pack just for yourself and your crew. And here's a fun fact. Did you know that your taste is greatly impacted when you're on an airplane? The environment in a dry, pressurized cabin weakens your sense of smell, which makes up for a large part of your sense of taste. So your sense of taste is also weakened. So not only does the airline catering need to account for this weakened taste, adding up to 30% more sugar or salt to your meal, but they're also preparing the dishes in less than ideal conditions. Meals are made on the ground and then frozen before the flight. Once aboard, flight attendants then thaw these packages out and reheat them before serving, which contributes to the food tasting kind of weird. So just keep that in mind when you decide to reach for that extra salt packet. It's already loaded with sodium, and the extra air pressure is not going to help your situation one bit. Speaking of, a common occurrence on flights is something called jet belly. This is what happens when you bloat while flying. And the food mixed with the cabin pressure is one of the biggest contributors. One way that you can prevent it, or at least curb it a little bit, is by avoiding carbonated beverages and alcohol. These two will just not help your case. I also recommend taking ginger tablets or activated charcoal with you in case of an upset stomach. Or if you're on the plane and you just forgot to pack your medicine, then just ask the air host or hostess, because quite often they'll have simple painkillers like ibuprofen, paracetamol, or even diarrhea pills. And I always bring a Brita water filter bottle with me to fill up at the airport after security screening. It's an invaluable purchase for travelers, and it's going to come in handy in Japan as well. Even better is an insulated water bottle that can also hold hot liquid. That way, when it's time to eat a snack, if you want something a little bit more filling, you can bring oatmeal or ramen, just add hot water. And the reason I'm not suggesting that you get your water on the plane is because it's a pretty well-known fact that airplanes are super germy, even with the COVID-19 precautions that were in place. And ordering ice might just be one of the worst things you can do when you're on board. With crews coming and going, many hands may end up and out of the ice bins and equipment, and the crew might not necessarily have control over making sure it's been fully cleaned and disinfected before needing to scoop the ice into cups. Not only that, but the ice itself is typically made from the plane's tap water, which can be riddled with bacteria due to the fact that an aircraft's water tank is rarely emptied and clean. And that's according to a study on the quality of aircraft water via Insider. Even flight attendants admit that they don't drink anything that comes from the airplane water tank, which includes ice, tap water, coffee, and tea. One interesting thing that I have learned in doing the research for this video is that you're allowed to bring ice through security. So if you freeze your water, it's allowed. And the reason you can bring frozen liquid is because dangerous and hazardous chemicals don't freeze. Alcohol, methane gas, acetone will not freeze. So if you know that you're going to want ice in your beverage on the plane, just bring your own. And hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Flying dries you out like nobody's business, and that can cause all kinds of problems from dry skin to swelling to headaches and more. For better hydration on the plane, you should think about starting to drink water 1 to 2 days before your flight, and not once you board the plane. Also, if you have an electrolyte imbalance, you might get cramps or headaches or have sleep issues that can make your jet lag symptoms even worse. So to combat that, take an electrolyte supplement during and after your flight, or mix it with your water to help maintain the balance. I love these Element raspberry salt flavored electrolyte packets because they're really tasty and compact, and you can feel the immediate effects. Now, contrary to popular assumption, coffee and alcohol don't count as hydration elements. They actually contribute towards dehydration. They're both diuretics, which means you're going to have to use the restroom more than you usually do. You might be inspired to have that glass of wine before your flight, or even with your meal on the flight, especially if you think it's going to help you sleep. But be aware that it's completely counterproductive on the hydration front. Now, as we prepare to land this comprehensive guide, let's review the key takeaways for making your journey to Japan as smooth and as enjoyable as possible. When booking your flight, use clever strategies like VPNs, one-way ticket combinations, and fare alerts to save money and secure the best deals. Choose your seats wisely, opting for locations that offer the most comfort, space, and convenience for your needs. Pack smart, focusing on essential items that will keep you comfortable, entertained, and prepared for any situation during your flight and trip. Navigate the airport experience with confidence by staying organized, informed, and proactive about your check-in security and boarding processes. During your long-haul flight, create a cozy and relaxing environment with a well-stocked sleep kit, healthy snacks, and engaging entertainment options. Stay hydrated, nourished, and hygienic throughout your journey by making smart choices about food, drink, and personal care routines. Remember, the key to a successful trip is a combination of careful planning, adaptability, and a positive attitude. It does go far. And don't forget to download the comprehensive checklist and packing list in the description below. It'll make this whole video a lot easier to keep in mind. And for even more essential advice and top-notch tips on navigating your first 24 hours in Japan, be sure to check out my next videos in the series. These videos dive deeper into the specifics of Japanese customs and immigration, transportation options from the airport, and more. Click on either of these links to continue your journey towards an unforgettable experience in this incredible country. I'll see you there.